Joining me now is Arati Prabhakar, Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. More importantly, she's a veteran of DARPA, which, of course, essentially gave the world the Internet. And so she joins us now. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Ms. Prabhakar, let me start with what these rules do and what don't they do. It feels like this is just a set of guidelines. Is that fair?
The president and the vice president met today with the 4 CEOs of leading AI companies, and that was to underscore what the Biden-Harris administration has focused on from the beginning, which is the idea that AI is a very powerful technology, that if we're going to seize its benefits, we have to start by managing its risks. And this meeting was to focus on the company's responsibilities in that regard. That's an important part of getting to a future with responsible AI.
Most of these companies believe they should be trusted. Why should we trust them?
Well, I think that they have such an important role to play because they are driving this technology. They're putting it out into the world. And that's one part of what needs to happen. This administration from the beginning, before this wave of AI happened, has been on the job putting out a blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights last fall. And we've announced a set of actions. You'll see more from us, but this particular meeting was about making sure that the companies are responsible for their role.
Again, how do you ensure that the companies are responsible? I mean, you know, thanks to Section 230, they really have no liability on AI yet, should they?
You may have seen an announcement last week from 4 major enforcement agencies, EEOC, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, Department of Justice, the FTC, reminding companies that they're going to be holding them accountable even as they start to use AI. And I think that's a great example of using existing laws and making sure that companies understand that they're responsible, that they are still on the line. There's much more to do, but I think that's an important example of
you don't think Section
happening.
230 will protect them from regulation and civil rights violations that a machine may make?
I think we have to step back for a minute and look at this technology because it is so broad and so powerful. I think there will be issues to resolve about Section 230, but this technology is about what content gets generated, but it's also about many other uses and many other risks. So that is one part, but it's a much more broader and a much more complex landscape.
Go back in time for me a little bit. If we had the same fear about social media that we all do right now about AI, would a meeting like this have happened 15 years ago, and should it have, with social media?
I think we all believe there's a lot to be learned from the social media generation. And of course, what's happened with social media is an example of artificial intelligence that's already in our lives, because when you get an ad targeted to you, or when you do a search, or even if you're using facial recognition to unlock your phone, those are examples of AI today. What's happening now is this much more powerful wave of AI that's going to have broader applications. It's going to come into Americans' lives in more and more ways. And this is really why the president's been clear from the beginning that if we're going to seize its benefits, we have got to start by managing its risks.
Let me ask you this. These tech companies, you know, they don't have too many conversations about the morality of some of the things they're making and the ethics of what they're making. Where do those conversations come in, and who should play that role?
You know, what I find is everyone who's involved in the business of AI understands the bright side, but also these very concerning risks. And the issue is, what are each of us going to be able to do to get us to a better place? The president's been clear from the beginning that what we need is, there are government actions that are underway. There's more that's being contemplated. Today's meeting with the CEOs was to focus on their responsibilities, because they are responsible. They are responsible as actors in the market, but they do have ethical and moral responsibilities. Yeah. Those were underscored by the vice president, and I think those are important messages for them to hear from us.
When the internet first sort of became a thing. This was, in some ways, the American government gifting the world, right? I mean, it was research that was done in that sense. This is different, right? This is private sector created here, private sector driven. Should there be any extra concerns we have about that?
You know, the parallel I see that I think is really important is these are very powerful, raw technologies, but they don't come with morals or rules or values. That's our job. And that's why this administration came out with a blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights last October at a time when the technology is this powerful and this fast-moving. No more important time to be clear about your values. And that's the starting point. And then implementing the right measures on our side in the government, but also in companies, but doing it in alignment with our values. That's how we're going to navigate this.
20 and 40 years ago, if America made a set of guidelines, the world would likely follow on a new technology. That's not going to be the case anymore. What do we do about the bad actors that are also playing with this new technology?
Yeah, I think first we just have to recognize that it is a globally competitive landscape. President Biden likes to talk about how important it is for democracy to prove that it can work in today's complex world. And I think AI is just a perfect example of that complexity. But we and our like-minded allies, I think, have a lot of work to do, but a great opportunity to come together and manage these risks in a way that chart to a better future.
All right. President's Science Advisor Arati Prabhakar. Hopefully I didn't mangle that too badly. Also, of course, experience on DARPA, which essentially gave us the internet. Appreciate you coming on and explaining what the White House is up to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.